It ain't the left side or the right side, then it must be the fin side. Inside. It ain't the left side.
Thank you, Solo D. Welcome to another episode of On the Fin Side here with Kat and Paul Picken. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Spreaker, iTunes, YouTube, and on iHeartRadio. We are breaking down the Dolphins' second fourth-round pick, running back Kalen Ballage out of Arizona State. A fascinating player, and actually one that, Paul, you had predicted to go in the fourth round in a mock draft. You did just a few days before the draft. I actually had him mocked to us in the third round in our first three-round mock draft that we did a couple of months ago. So definitely a player that was on both of our radars here. What really stood out to you about Kalen Ballage when you predicted him to go in the fourth round of the Dolphins a couple of days ago?
I mean, you watch the kid. He's explosive. He's a great pairing in that backfield. I think with Gore in there to give some tutelage to both of these youngsters. God, he's a receiving threat. He can hit the home run in the running game. And I can't say enough good things about the pick. I was a little nervous after they passed on him in the earlier pick in the fourth, even though I liked the pick of Jordan Smythe, just because, you know, he was a guy that you and I were looking at when the third round rolled around and messaging each other privately as one of the names. So the fact that we were messaging each other at the start of day 3 about this kid, and he lasted all the way to the end of the fourth, I think that's going to be a big mistake for a lot of teams.
Yeah, he's a very enigmatic player, that's for sure, and a player that I felt was really worth a risk at the end of the fourth round. At the beginning of the day, he was fourth or fifth on my board, and, you know, so I was elated with this selection. But he is an enigma. I mean, he was never the lead back at Arizona State. And just looking at this past year, DeMario Richard, who actually went undrafted and was signed by the Falcons, he actually had over 1,000 yards, and Kalen Ballage only had 670 on the year. But when you look at the tools and you look at the skill set, you see very easily why Ballage was projected to go in the middle rounds, where Richard was never projected to be drafted anywhere in the NFL draft. But watch him on YouTube. You can see the explosiveness. I mean, it's almost shocking to look at when you realize that this guy is 6'2", 230 pounds, ran a 4.46, and it just doesn't quite make sense why he only averaged 4.3 yards a carry at Arizona State this past year, and really a backup role. But definitely the skill set is there.
Completely agree. I mean, he's got the size, he's got the speed, and if he gets to that second level against some of the smaller cornerbacks in the NFL, that is going to be hilarious to watch because he can go around you, he can go through you. And with the way Miami redeveloped their offensive line this offseason, we might see a little bit higher than 4.3 per carry, even though he will be the backup. Make no mistake.
And it's interesting that this is the pick that the Dolphins acquired for running back Jay Ajayi. And one of the complaints that Gase had with Ajayi is that he would not take the yards that are there. You bet they're going to pound into this guy's head. You have the talent to get the ball, make one cut, and head up the field. And that's what Kalen Ballage has to do. As a prospect, again, I think he's somewhere between, as a big back, Daniel Thomas and Kenyon Drake. And people may shudder at Daniel Thomas, but Daniel Thomas was a late second-round pick who obviously had never panned out in the pros. And Drake has turned out to be a great third-round selection. Kalen Ballage, you're getting at the end of the fourth round here. And you're going to have Kenyon Drake and Kalen Ballage splitting carries in that same running back room with Frank Gore. So now the Dolphins' running back position is looking pretty good here heading into the 2018 season. Paul, how would you grade this pick?
I'd give this an A-. I think definitely given the value that they picked up, as you pointed out, in the fourth round. Also given the fact that Miami's running back room, as you also pointed out, is complete now. This was a great pick. This was a great value for where they selected him and really could turn into one of those steal picks in the draft. So A- for me.
You know, this is one I'm going to go with an A+. I loved this pick at the end of the fourth round. I mean, to get a player that not only I really wanted at the beginning of the fourth round, to see him fall all the way down, and to be quite honest, I would have been fine if the Dolphins took him at the beginning of the third round. So I absolutely love this pick. We'll see what Kalen Ballage does for the Dolphins and how quickly he gets on the field. You can follow Paul and I on Facebook, Twitter, Spreaker, iTunes, YouTube, and on iHeartRadio. And if it's not on the right side and it's not on the left side, it is on the fin side. So, Ladie, take us home.
It ain't the left side or the right side, then it must be the fin side. It ain't the left side or the right side, then it must be the fin side. Listen, Dolphins fans across the land all tuning in to see what Brian Cat and Paul